Hey everyone, and welcome back to Catalyst Conversations. Today, we are tackling a critical question for high achieving women, and that is what happens when you hit that peak professional level? You are at the pinnacle of your success, but inside, you feel blah, just empty. You are earning those high six figures. You're making the moolah. You're maybe even wearing those, what I refer to as golden handcuffs. And the material success is there, but the fulfillment is not. So, my guest today really exemplifies that journey and the powerful pivot that is required to claim true wealth. I'm thrilled to introduce Victoria Hirst, and I'll tell you a little bit about her, and then she'll tell you all the good stuff that she does. For over 30 years, Victoria was a highly respected producer in the intense world of film and television. She worked with award-winning talents, and I am totally name dropping right now, like Sarah Polley, Christian Bale, and the late great Philip Seymour Hoffman. That is the definition of success. But despite working on these incredible projects, getting rewarded and awarded for all of that, Victoria felt empty and passionless. She felt trapped in the belief that she had to hustle to prove her worth. Now, whoo, am I so thrilled as a certified dream builder coach and the co-founder of an off-the-grid retreat. We're going to talk more about that in a minute. Victoria now lives in a place of peace, alignment, and genuine joy, the life that she truly loves. So, this conversation is really going to be your blueprint for diagnosing your own wealth blind spot and moving from clarity to true alignment. Victoria, welcome to the show.
Wow, thank you so much. An amazing introduction. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
absolutely. I didn't tell any lies, right? I mean, it's true. Absolutely true. I just sat there when, I mean, we spoke before this, and in reading your bio, just taking a look at all that you've achieved, the disconnect is apparent, and we're going to talk about that disconnect in a little bit. But what, I mean, you've done the things. You've been in that glamorous life and lifestyle. What was the disconnect for you? I mean, what did it feel like
Yeah, it's
to
such a
have, yeah, the success on the inside versus the success on the outside? Tell me.
yeah, and it's such a beautiful question and really hones in on this idea of vision and deciding what it is that we would love. I knew that I wanted to be in film and TV, but it was the way I was showing up. The way I was showing up in myself, for myself, that was so different in that former way of in my personal curriculum, in my own evolution. I was in the mindset of that hustle and bustle and the busy, and I was proving my worth and my validation through what I was doing, as opposed to looking inside for that. And
Right.
I did have this seemingly glamorous life, but I didn't allow this seemingly glamorous life have me because I was
Mm.
trapped in the busy, busy, busy. I was after the next thing. I was after, okay, well, what's my next project? What am I doing now? And where am I seeking my validation? As opposed to being like, even taking that moment to celebrate, to
Mhm.
soak in the joy of, yeah, I did do a film with Christian Bale. I
Yes.
did work with the late Philip Seymour Hoffman. I had a beautiful project that I worked with Sarah Polly on. At the time, did I truly luxuriate in that success?
Mhm.
No. It was simply a stepping stone to the next, the next, the next.
Yes.
So, so I'll just finish this thought. And so for me now was noticing that I was on the hunt, like I was in the chase. I was in enjoying what I was doing, but I wasn't enjoying who I was being and how I was showing up in my life.
Yeah, that is very powerful because we often disconnect our doing and our being. It
Absolutely.
seems as if we operate in these two, let's call them parallel universes, where you do, but it can never meet with who you can be or who you are at your core. And no wonder there's a disconnect because, I mean, if we have to split our identity, because that's essentially what it is, we're splitting our identity, how can we ever be full or realize a fullness of being if we're two different people in all these different places? And that's just who you how you showed up in your work. Imagine all the other areas of life where you might also have been fragmented. So I'll ask you this. Was it the industry that was the problem, or was it something else?
Oh, it was me. It was my mindset. It was the way I was being me.
Hmm.
And if I knew then what I knew now,
Hmm.
I would have shown up for myself differently. I
Right,
would have been a different person. And I have no regrets. I love, love, love the life and experience that I've had. And so this is not about regret and looking back and going, oh, woe is me. This is about like, this is my next best chapter, me
right.
embracing the best of who I am, as opposed to being defined by what I thought I should be doing and who I thought I should be while I'm doing it.
Wow.
I didn't know who I was without that title of film and TV producer. Like that was my whole identity. And
Hmm.
so my journey was giving myself permission to have a time out, to discover who I was without that title. And
Wow.
then to discover like the softness and the subtleties and the ability to actually be aware. I didn't know
Hmm.
what awareness was. I didn't know what conscious choice was in my own behavior. I mean,
You just went with it. You did what you thought you had to do
exactly.
because society has defined so many things for us. And then you fell into an industry where so many people or so many, the system within that space kind of tells you you either hustle this way or you get booted out because it's dog eat dog, cutthroat. At least that's the way we are programmed to perceive it. Because
Mm-hmm.
I feel kind of certain that there must be people who work well in that industry without losing themselves, right?
Absolutely.
They
Yeah.
have to be there. But I want to kind of touch on that idea of, believing in yourself, believing in that vision of who you can be, what you can achieve, because our listeners here are used to setting goals. We're setting goals all the time, career goals, relationship goals. We're setting financial goals. We're setting all kinds of goals all the time. And usually, my audience, we're hitting them. We're hitting them and we're excelling. I'd love to understand how you help people disconnect the goal that they can see as the next step or what is perceived to be okay. This is what's next. To, and then connect to this is what I cannot see, but it is compelling, and that's the vision. How do you get people to unlock from the one, two, three, four and consider that quantum experience, that leap?
Mm. What a beautiful, beautiful question. And it's not a one and done. It's not a quick answer. It is part of the process. And one of the things that I love to encourage my clients to do is to remember their successes in the past. Because by remembering that success, they tap into, firstly, I've done it before. I am capable. And then this time around, you focus on the dream, doing what you can from where you are, one baby step at a time, one choice, one decision at a time,
Wow.
with the faith and understanding that, when we're a gardener and we're planting seeds, We're
Mhm.
not tugging at the little green shoot going, come on, grow, 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 grow. We're conscious that it's growing, that it's got its own time and gestation period. And
Yeah.
as it's growing above the soil, it's growing beneath the soil. That its roots, while we might only see a tiny, tiny little shoot, the roots are growing, creating the base, the foundation that support that dream that's coming, the little green shoot. And it's building and it's building. And even though we don't see the evidence every single moment, we have faith that if we're doing our part, taking our baby steps, our action steps, one decision at a time, that it will come to fruition, that that little shoot is going to grow into the tree, the flower, whatever. But we also give it time and patience,
Yeah.
understanding that there is process.
Okay, so Victoria, here's my question. If we were to take a step beyond the seedling, taking its time and coming up in the garden, how does this apply in real life? And I'll just share with you that, you know what? I don't naturally take my time. I don't naturally take my time. And one of the things for the last few years I've been experiencing is I keep seeing 12:34 on the clock. I keep seeing sequences of 1, 2, 3, 4. And it happens, I don't know why it is that I just happen to look at the clock at 12:34. There's a 60-second window to make that happen. And it happens on an eerily weird level. I think it is because I need to let things happen in their time as, prescribed. And it does not come naturally to me. So you tell me, in your experience with, coming to this realization as you evolved in your vision, your clarity, what was your moment? Was it actually a moment or was it, a gradual movement towards more conscious choice? Tell me about your experience with this.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for that question. I mean, it's beautiful. And I love the Steve Jobs quote, which is you can't connect the dots going forward, you can only connect the dots looking back.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's so true because as you're moving through, as you say, we get caught up in, I want it to happen now, or I want it to happen specifically this way, right? Quite often, when we have a vision or a goal, we're so specific that we're not open to what else might happen.
Mhm.
And so, once we, I mean, once again, like going back to our successes and looking at those as track record, that once you follow the process, if you're doing your part, it will unfold, it will happen. Once you rest in the faith and knowledge that I'm taking the baby steps, you're
Yeah.
also then taking a step back. We're not in charge of the how, we're not in charge of the time. And
Mhm.
it could be that what unfolds is even better still. But it
Yes.
requires resting and being in the faith that it's all going to work out, being in the vibration and the energy of that person living the dream and the goal fulfilled, right? You're showing up in the energy. And even though there's no physical evidence, you can still embody and
Yes.
be that person.
Yes. That is so powerful. And I find this across many belief systems. And even with the universality of faith and vision, we really don't do a great job of it, right? It is, I mean, you choose a creed, you choose a belief system. There are elements in there that speak about seeing and being where you are not yet.
Hmm.
So I see the power in that. In fact, I literally, just before we started, I turned off one of my alarms. I have an alarm that goes off. It's called Moments of Faith, where I just stop what I'm doing and I vision. I stop what I'm doing, I whisper a prayer. I stop what I'm doing and I get intentionally back into that place of what I cannot see becoming real to me. And I love that. I wish more of us could tap into that experience because I think it's pretty powerful.
Hmm.
Yes.
And it's amazing what comes out of that peace,
Yes.
ease, and harmony, right? Like I spent a career in the push energy. I mean,
Hmm.
not just the hard and the struggle, but forcing things to happen. And I remember, honestly, I didn't think there was any other way of doing it. I thought that I had to push, push, push. I could have accomplished the same things
Hmm.
simply by being in a different way of observing what needed to be done.
Right.
In that time, in that place, I chose that energy. And now, I mean, once again, to your one, two, three, four, right? You get to choose, you get to redecide every moment. This is there to tell me something. This
Right.
is an opportunity for me to learn. And if that opportunity to learn is taking a breath, being
Hmm.
patient, being present, I mean, what
Hey.
great message is that, right?
I know. How can you turn away from that, right? Absolutely, absolutely. But that is the message if we take our time to hear it. But so often we're so busy. And then there's the flip side, because I know that in certain situations, when life gets really complex or when there are too many pieces moving around that's making up my life, a lot of us deal with analysis paralysis because now we are good and properly stuck. We are stuck and we can't seem to make a choice. We can't seem to be decisive. And I love your view on it. You call decision the turning point between dreaming and doing.
Mm.
Do tell me more because I want to know.
I love this. I love talking about this. I'm going to totally geek out. But I mean, it's like um, when you're going on holiday, you're shopping. Okay, where am I going to go in the world? I could go to Tasmania, or I could go to Australia, or I could go to Vietnam, I could go to Paris.
Mhm.
But you're not actually going anywhere until you decide. And when you decide, you're going to book your ticket, your
Right.
flight, your accommodation. So it's like the difference between I'm imagining, I'm dreaming, I'm thinking, I'm pondering all my possibilities. And I
Mhm.
can go to every single one of these places. But until I decide where I'm going to go, I'm actually not going. So that for me is the turning point, because once I've decided, I'm like, oh, I'm going to Paris, I'm going to eat croissant at the foot of the Eiffel Tower. I know exactly what I'm going to do now. And so then I'm taking all the steps to do that because I've decided.
Yes, yes. It's interesting what happens and how much less weight we carry when we make a decision. I've
Hmm.
found so much unease, so much stress and anxiety in the space where I'm humming and hawing. I
Hmm.
find that once a decision is made, then I can actually take the next step. And I'm sure there are some people who just need help in making that decision. How does your coaching help that person who is stuck, maybe afraid of making a decision, maybe overwhelmed by the decision, maybe just feeling like it should not be their decision? How are
Hmm.
you helping your clients make that empowered decision?
Such a great question. And I did a workshop on exactly the power of decision last week. And part of the decision making process is understanding that making that decision is a superpower. It doesn't need to be a ball and chain. It's a superpower. And it moves you from that feeling of, oh my gosh, the weight, like the absolute fear of what if I make the wrong decision? Well, we've all made wrong decisions, right? The
Yep.
great thing about making a wrong decision is you get to make a right decision shortly after that.
Yep.
So, being arrested in that decision place is also about understanding how you are as a decision maker. And there are different kinds of decision makers, right? There's the decisive doer, which is like, kind of the alpha, the way I showed up in my industry is like constantly making decisions. But
Hmm.
there's the analytical pros and cons, right? You're weighing the pros and cons. And then the being in flow, like, what do I feel like in this moment? So we
Right.
get to understand what kind of decision maker we are and lean into that. And so, whatever your process is, just allow it to happen. Give it time.
Hmm.
Give yourself a deadline, a decision-making deadline, right? Like
Hmm.
if I know I'm a pros and cons person, give yourself the breadth and space to do that, and then give yourself a deadline. Say, okay, I'm going to make this decision such and such a time. And
Right.
after that, I know that I've weighed up my pros and cons. I'm focusing on just a couple of them, and I'm going to rest really easy in the decision I make.
Yes.
And so it's leaning into what is your process, accepting it, being aware of it, right? Being aware
Hmm.
of it first and foremost, accepting it, leaning into it, turning it into your superpower. And also knowing that if you make the wrong decision, congratulations, you're human.
I know. You know what? It's easy to say that though, Victoria, because I think we have all been conditioned to
Hmm.
avoid failure at every cost. And
Hmm.
failure is the absolute worst thing that could happen. Instead of embracing the opportunity to try something and have it not work and know that, okay, I'll try something else. We've kind of been programmed that way. So I can appreciate because I mean, I got 99% on a math final exam one time, and my dad was like, "Where's the other 1%?" So,
Oh,
so it's one thing to have, high standards. It's something else though to have these unrealistic expectations that we are always going to be perfect.
mm,
How about we fail?
mhm,
How about we experiment?
mhm.
How about we adventure through
Yeah.
life? And that kind of takes me to my next thought here because you are certainly adventuring right now. Um, Tell me what flow looks like for you now, because I mean, you were sharing about once that decision is done, you now can live in flow. What does flow look like, and what could it look like for a client who experiences that relief and release?
Mm, beautiful question. What flow feels like for me is ease and alignment with my body. Ease
Mm,
and alignment with understanding if my mental chatter is going off on one direction, that I can simply pause it and say, hold on a minute. This day we've pre-decided. This day we've pre-decided that this is what we're doing this day. So, there's none of this, well, you could be doing that, you should be doing this. There's none
right.
of that. It's like, no, today is the day we prep for blah, 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 blah. And I do use my schedule, I do use my calendar as
Mhm.
a device, as a system to help me with that process. So I feel like I'm in flow because I'm allowing my schedule to work for me as
Right.
opposed to my former way of being that I was just like blum, 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 blum through my schedule, right?
Right.
React, putting out fires, dealing with drama, responding to this, as opposed to okay, well, I'm going to respond to my emails here and I'm going to do that. And I feel so much more aligned
Right.
with that system. Once again, a system I knew existed, but that was not
Yeah.
former Victoria. Hello. But using that, so using the tools, and I help my clients find the tools that work for them. And as we work through the process of dream building and focus more and more on what they love, they find these tools and these systems actually help them pre-decide,
Mhm.
pre-focus, and align with with who they are in their dream.
Yeah. I feel like every decision we make empowers us to make another one.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know
Oh,
what I mean? It's
yeah.
like the more success we find in making decisions, the more we can really love the outcomes of making decisions, the more we feel, you know what? I can make this decision and the next one and the next one. So I feel very empowered. I know empowerment is overused as it's almost cliche now, but I feel that there is great empowerment to the person who makes a decision and then stands in it and then makes the next decision, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I'm excited because for some people they hear flow and they think kumbaya, and
Yeah.
living life like you do off the grid somewhere where there's no power, no cell phones, and they just think of all the things. But that's not really living in flow. Living in flow, I think it's most easily equated to me in my process as alignment. And
Mm-hmm.
and that's what you shared. So for me, that is flow versus fight.
Mm-hmm.
That is trusting versus hustling.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that is being
Mm-hmm.
versus doing all the time. And I find that to be very, very freeing.
Mm-hmm.
I think as we're gonna kind of wrap up this episode here, Victoria, one of your favorite quotes that you shared with me, one of two, the other one I'll put in the show notes. It's by the other one's by Oprah, and Oprah's my girl. But I want to sit with this Henry Ford quote because I find so much depth in those simple words. And you shared, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've heard it before. I'm almost certain our listeners may have also heard this before. I hear it now in speaking with you, and I think identity shift.
Mm-hmm.
I think being. So, how do you get your clients to experience that identity shift?
Mm. Well, I mean, that's a big, lofty question right there. And once
Mhm.
again, it's not a one and done. It's a
Yeah.
process. We're spending time unraveling, rewiring the beliefs that have been our operating system for our lifetime.
Wow.
And so, if our belief is that I can't do something, we'll use Henry Ford quote. If the belief is I can't do something,
Mhm.
that's what we're rewiring, and we're looking at it. We really, I mean, we don't mine in the same way that one does therapy, but we look at it and we go, that's interesting. Where did that come from? And does that serve you in your dream?
Right.
Thinking
Right.
that you can't do something, does that serve you? No, but thinking that you can do it serves you. So, what do you need to believe now for yourself? Well,
Mhm.
if such and such can do it, then I can do it too. Let's look at what is the rewiring belief that you can repattern with. What
Right.
feels good for you? Well, if such and such can do it, then I can do it too, right?
Yeah.
We don't need to look at such and such with competition. We can look at them with inspiration. And so
Yes.
it's that subtle rewiring of those belief systems that we're not even necessarily aware of. that
Yeah.
have been, under the bonnet of the car for our whole lives. Well, we get to look at them, we get to shine the light on them, and we get to say, this no longer serves me. So it's the process of that. So we work on one's self-image script as well, in their beliefs about themselves, how they see themselves, whether or not, they've lived a lifetime of saying to themselves, I'm not worthy, I'm not deserving.
And we have to also, I think, sit in the understanding that we are all becoming.
Hmm.
Even the person who is most aligned is still
Yes.
becoming.
Yes.
We are constantly being challenged to become our best selves. And as satisfying as we can be with who we are now, we can trust that there is still wonderful things to explore and discover about ourselves as we go forward. I love that identity shift. And you also, of course, as you were speaking, you also said, choose. We
Yes.
need to choose. Whether
Mm.
you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So, how about believing that you can,
Yeah.
especially when it's something that will be of great service to you and the people in your circle of influence? I wanted to just dive a little bit into how life has evolved for you now. So when we started off the top, we talked about your heydays. I shouldn't call it heydays. That previous existence, that those choices you made before, that had you in some pretty pristine circles, and leveraging lots of amazing opportunities. Now you have a hut. I won't call it a hut. It's bigger than a hut. You
It's a
have an
farmhouse.
off
Yes.
the grid retreat location that you co-own.
Yeah.
You offer experiences to connect with self, to connect with, that identity and have that journey of self-discovery. That is quite a shift. How are you loving life now, and how are you integrating choice into those decisions that you're making every day? Tell us about the hut. Tell us about the
Mm.
retreat.
Well, I will tell you about the farmhouse, but I want to just expand on what you were saying about how we are ever becoming, right? In our levels of awareness, we're ever becoming. And what I was talking about in the workshop this afternoon was, we get to look at ourselves as if we're scientists, constantly looking for data and information. As we notice our behaviors, as we notice our thinking, as we notice our beliefs, if they're not serving us in our present way of being, we
Mhm.
get to re-choose, we get to re-decide what it is that we would love. And so, what I'm coaching with my clients right now, we've just had a month on love. Fascinating, absolutely fascinating what we've unearthed in this journey of discovering love. And, the next time I teach that particular class, I know that my own experience of teaching it is going to be different. So we
Yeah.
are, all of us, each and every one of us, are on this spiral of becoming. And it's so beautiful because the more we get to be the scientist, the more for me, I get to nerd out on it. I mean, I love it. It's all information and data.
Yeah.
It's like,
You
yeah,
get to nerd out on yourself. I mean,
on
how
what we
much fun
discover.
is that?
Yes.
It's like you're your own lab rat. I wonder what would happen if I intentionally chose this thing and I stuck through on that decision. I wonder what would happen. And then look at that. It did. It happened. You had it. I love that. I don't mind. I could be my own lab rat for days.
It's so good. And it's so good. And we get to try things on like we're trying on clothes, right? Even if
Yes.
we don't necessarily know if it's something we like. I mean, I didn't used to wear color. I used to
Ah,
be, I only wear black. And only recently have I embraced, I'm not wearing it right now, but blue. I love blue. So now I
wow.
get to try on blue and red and green because of a different choice I'm making. I love it. I love it.
Wow. Not, well, we used to, well, people say the sky is the limit, but really there
There you
is
go.
no limit.
There's no limit.
There's,
It's infinite.
it's infinite. Because I said this, because I'm a little bit of a science geek. I said, actually, there is no sky. There is nothing there. What we're seeing is our perception of infinity.
Mhm.
That's what we're looking at and calling it sky. So there is no limit.
Absolutely.
So,
And that's why I love my background because
yes,
literally, even though we say the sky's the limit, as you say, is infinite possibility.
infinite.
So much, so much.
So, so much. You know what? Thank you for sharing all of these great, great, great tips with us. I know that my listeners are going to want to learn more about your farmhouse, learn more about your webinars, your seminars, your retreats, and whatever else Victoria happens to be up to. So please do tell us, where can we find you in the whole maze of interwebs?
Oh, so good. Thank you very much. So my website is victoriahirst, HIRST.com. I am on Facebook. I was a late adopter to Facebook, but I am now on Facebook, Victoria Hirst on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn, and you can find more information about our farm at S for Shibagau, C for Creek, Forest Farmstead, so scff.ca. We also have a Facebook page, which I have not populated. But yes, we offer off grid retreats. I offer forest bathing for people who want to slow down and go for an absolutely beautiful meditative walk in the
I
forest.
tell me about this forest bathing because I am very curious. I know we're wrapping up, but what does that entail?
Forest bathing is about connection.
Mhm.
Connection with yourself, connection with nature, connection with forest. Understanding, learning, feeling, being in the forest, coming home to you, connecting with nature and the trees. And it is beautiful. It's a opportunity to pause, to
Mhm.
connect and be in presence. And I've had amazing breakthroughs from people who come with the busiest mind activity to being quiet in the forest and
Mhm.
feeling so refreshed, so renewed, reinvigorated. And it boosts your immune system, enables you to sleep well, like completely reduces stress, reverses your nervous system into rest, digest, and create. I mean, there's just so many benefits.
Wow.
And yes, I absolutely love witnessing and holding space for people who slow it all down.
Yes.
That's where the inspiration, the imagination, and the intuition kick in, and you can be a different version of yourself by embracing what comes to you in that quiet.
Yes. Just slow down. Doesn't mean you have to stop, just slow down. Victoria, thank you, thank you, thank you
Oh,
for sharing your incredible journey. I mean, your pivot from highest levels within the film industry to building a life that is led by purpose and intention, creating that business, that to me is the definition of true wealth. It's not how many zeros we can add a number. It is that knowing, that being, that sense of absolute fulfillment. And I think for me, the biggest lesson I would take out of our conversation today is that success really, it's not defined by the hustle. It's defined by our choices and the power within that. Your mind, your belief, these I feel are our most valuable assets. So thank you so much.
thank you so much. It's the being, it's the inside job. We create what that success is for us that is in alignment with who we are, not by
Yes.
what everybody else may think, believe it should be.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Mm,
Thanks again, my dear. And I hope,
thank
I'm
you.
sure there's a part two in there somewhere. So I'm going to look forward to
Love
that.
that.
Thanks again.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So, to all of my guests, to all of my viewers and listeners, if listening today kind of made you recognize those golden handcuffs, or if you are tired of letting analysis paralysis stop you from acting on your clear vision, it's time for you to first talk to Victoria, get some clarity and alignment in place, and then consider that bespoke blueprint. It's time to move from being a frustrated high earner to a confident CEO of your wealth. Let me tell you a little bit about my Wealth Catalyst Signature Program. It's a 6 month strategic partnership, and it's designed to take successful women just like you through this exact transformation, from diagnosing the blind spot to implementing a sophisticated yet simple financial roadmap that funds your legacy, your purpose, your fulfillment, your life. If you're ready to stop fighting and start flowing, please book your private discovery call today. The links are going to be in the show notes. Take the next decisive step, make the choice. So, thank you for tuning in and choosing to architect your wealth with intention. I'll catch you next week for another episode of Catalyst Conversations. Until then, take care.